Welcome back to the ModernPreneur Podcast, where listeners come to learn, grow, and succeed. Today, we are going to talk about something that we are pretty familiar with. It's how to build your brand and how to do that successfully, digitally, and out in the world.
Heck yeah. Today we're really going to cover topics such as branding, like Cal just said, digital branding. What the heck is digital branding? It's something that we want to kind of take credit for, that we've coined digital branding when it comes to that.
We can definitely say that, absolutely.
And it might be false, so please don't fact check us on that, but it's definitely something that we have really worked really hard to strive for and that we provide our clients for.
Right.
And this is just for anybody who's really getting started on their entrepreneurial journey. It doesn't matter if you are an entrepreneur currently or you're trying to build a personal brand. A lot of the things that we're going to talk about today can really help you in that area. So
let's get started.
We're going to jump right in.
All right. So what is branding? How would we break this down for you?
I think a good place to start is that branding is more than just your logo or
the fun stuff.
Yes, or your colors that you've picked for your
Absolutely.
brand. But that can also go into, like, when you do select your logo and your color selection, if you are super strategic about it, and we're going to get all into like the emotion behind the brand, but what differentiates a brand from a business is the fact that your brand has that emotion tied behind it. So there's a lot of things that go into creating a business or your brand, whether it's a personal brand or you are providing a local service or whatever it may be. But it is more than just the logo. And I think that's the great place to start, is that when you are creating a brand, which is something that we take pride in, when a business comes to us, we want to help them elevate their business and become more of a brand. That's something that has that emotion behind it, that helps them stand out from their competitors, and is something that really is a driver in growing their audience, which can in turn lead to sales or brand awareness online. I think that's a good place to start, is that it's more than just your logo.
Right. So going into that, so kind of tying into how your emotions and thinking about what your business stands for when creating that. Let's say you don't have something created and you're just starting out there. It's definitely important to have that in mind, because I think a lot of people miss that. I think it's 50%. Like, some people are kind of, I would say, educated or looking at those kind of things or cognizant to that. But then a lot of people don't even realize the extra psychology that's going on in a logo, in the colors, in the reasons why these things were selected for this business.
That's a good point for sure. And I think that's so true, because some of the biggest companies and corporations that I couldn't even, all of them, the big brands, the big boxes, like, they are very strategic when they create their brands.
Right.
And again, differentiating just a business that has a logo with a brand that has an emotion behind it and can help you grow that audience, and it makes your consumers or your customers or your potential customers feel a part of something bigger.
Right.
There's that emotion thread that plays into it, which we're going to go over the 4 pieces to branding here in just a minute, but it is more than just that, and that's like the biggest thing. And I think that, like, again, some of the biggest brands that are out there, you don't even know how purposeful they are with, like, their color choices, because when
something as simple as a color.
Yeah, because when you select colors, and there's a whole, like, science behind the color wheel and how different colors can evoke different emotions. Which, this is just a whole side note, but we believe that like, the fall colors here in northern Michigan are, like, it's God's way or the universe's way of getting you mentally prepared for the cold winter that's going to come. Green and yellow and red all evoke these different emotions of excitement and joy and happy, and so getting us ready for that cold winter. It kind of is like the same analogy that goes into when you create your brand. So having a color choice that is super strategic, depending on what you're doing, can help you evoke an emotion on the first time somebody sees your brand without them actually, like, psychologically realizing it, but it does give off that vibe.
Right.
So I think that's a really good point. Okay, so do we just want to go into the 4 key components in branding, or?
Okay. So more than just the logo and the font and the styles, it is how your brand is how your customers experience your business, and it is how you make them feel.
Yes.
So going into that, what are the 4 components that I know we know, but how would we break this down to share the 4 components of branding?
And I think too, that's a good point though, just to say that it is that emotion that goes into it, and it's about the culture that's within your brand. And that, again, those different things can set you apart from your competitors.
Right.
But so the 4 parts and 4 key components are brand identity, brand image, brand culture, and then your brand persona. So these 4 things are very important. And when you take that first step and you want to like really take your brand to the next level, which we're going to talk about digitally in just a minute, but having these 4 pillars in place are super important. So like your brand identity is the things that we've talked about so far. Your logo, your typography, your colors.
The things people see.
Yes, the first
the
exposure
aesthetic.
Yep, that people have with your brand. But then taking that one step further, like when it comes to your brand culture and your brand persona, again, that culture is something that you are creating, that emotion that's going to drive your brand and make it bigger than just something that's a product or a service.
Right.
It could be something that you stand behind. It could be something that you believe in. It could be just you taking your own personal vibe and applying that to your brand.
Right.
Which then goes into your brand persona, which is you taking your brand and literally turning into the psychology of a person. Who is that person? Like, what kind of adjectives describe your brand if you were a person? And what that does is that allows you to really attract the people that you want through things like content, which we're going to talk about in just a second. But when you can create that brand persona, you know who you are as a person, as a brand.
Right, absolutely.
And then you can resonate or appeal to other people who are going to enroll in that same type of either personality or culture within your brand.
Right, and it just makes it a lot easier, too, to land and to find your place within that, especially when you're just getting started, too. I think when you go in and you don't really sit down and do the work in the beginning to figure out all of these things, then you're kind of just flailing around, throwing things that stick and hoping that someone will see it and that someone will like it. And it's really important to be strategic with your branding, not only in person, but bringing it to the digital sphere.
Yes, which also is a good point, too, to kind of tie into, like, if you don't have a vision statement or a mission statement or a slogan for your business, we definitely recommend, like, starting there, too. And this is kind of a part of the brand creation process. Who are you and what do you stand for? And then, again, what kind of individual would you be if you were an actual human being? Those things are the psychology of what goes behind your brand, and that's what's going to get you to resonate with other individuals. So if you don't have your mission statement or vision statement, or maybe you are currently operating a business and it hasn't been, or it's been like 5-10 years since you've done this, revisiting that, and then
it never hurts to go over it.
Right, and that revisiting that and that doing that strategy and putting your mind frame into that. If you have a vision and a mission, one, obviously for your team, they can roll with that too. But your mission is going to be what gets people to have, again, that emotion and follow you as a brand.
That stake in what you're doing.
Yes. So if you, and again, no, we're not like hating on anybody by any means, but this is a process that you could go through to really elevate your brand. And then we're going to talk about why in just a second when it comes to content creation. But if you know your mission and your vision, like, for instance, one of our slogans for Guru that we've really marketed really hard is building brands and building dreams. We are here to help build brands, turn businesses into digital brands that are either generating revenue or foot traffic or e-commerce sales, whatever it is that their goal is. We want to help them take their current business into a brand and have that emotion behind it. And that is something that we are super passionate about.
Absolutely.
But building brands and building dreams, we literally have marketed that so much. But again, it's our mission. It's what we believe in. It's a short sentence or just it's a short.
It's our own mantra.
Yeah, it's our own mantra that we can really market that gets people to understand what we do very quickly, but also like we're more here. We're here more than just building the brand. We're here to also help build those people's dreams. We're passionate about working with other entrepreneurs. We're passionate about helping with the content creation process. We're so passionate when it comes to branding and elevating somebody's business and having that emotion be the driver behind it. And then on top of that, it gets our team also that emotion. And they know who we are and what we stand for. And if you can have somebody stand behind something as simple as building brands and building dreams, we have an emotion that's there. It's our driver, it's our force, and it's what attracts us in just one simple way to other individuals.
Right.
Which is super important. So again, if you don't have like slogans or your vision statement or your mission statement, that is one place that we definitely recommend starting to go into the branding process.
And definitely recommend going back if you have an established business, like you said, and going back and just revisiting all of maybe like your marketing pamphlets and all your mission statement and your core colors. Like take a look, because things do change and things evolve over time, and you look at what's going on in the world, and you look at like companies change and people leave and come and go, and that happens, and kind of always reevaluating that and knowing that that is current and correct with how you guys want to operate as a company or a business or an influencer or brand, whatever it may be. It's definitely important. So do the work and make sure you get that done.
Yeah, and the society changes, the world changes. So a vision statement or mission statement that was done even maybe 3-4 years ago, 5 years ago, might not fully apply to your current audience that you are trying to reach, which then helps you realize, okay, maybe I need to be doing something a little bit different when it comes to my branding. And then that leads us to go into like the whole digital branding and what that is. Digital branding is your way of, again, showcasing that feeling or emotion that you can that you have behind your brand through your social media pages, through your social media content. And again, you always want to have your audience in mind. If you don't have your audience in mind, you're not going to get the results that you're after.
Right. And if you don't know who your audience is, you won't be able to connect with them.
Right. And that's one thing that we provide our clients with. If we do a full brand development, we go through the everything, every step. So from A to Z, and having that audience is like, that's knowing who your audience is one of the biggest parts to that. Because again, if you're going to create your brand, you want to know who you're appealing to.
Right.
And you want to be able to create content that speaks to them directly, which also goes into, this is also part of a social media strategy, which we can put the PDF link to our personal social media strategy. It's a PDF that will walk you guys through it. But the first thing that you need to do with your social strategy too is figure out who your audience is. And if you know who you're speaking to, you can create content that resonates with them. If you have your mission and you know what your vision is, you know what the adjectives are that describe your brand. Are you street? Are you serious? Are you funny? Are you whimsical? You want to apply those things through content creation, which goes into your digital branding as well, because your digital brand is that representation of who you are. And it's just like you mentioned yesterday, your digital experience should be just as important as when somebody walks into your brick and mortar store.
Absolutely.
And that is just something that
I think, especially in like small business too, it's people forget this completely. It blows my mind too, because it's almost like you consider almost you post something or someone engages with your post and you have an amazing comment that gets left and nobody likes it or nobody comments back, or it's almost like it's literally like a customer walking into your store and saying, "This is such an amazing shirt," and you're just
completely ignoring them.
Like, you didn't say a word. And can you imagine? And it seems so small, but like if you can imagine that experience, if you went in somewhere, you would never shop there again.
Right. And those are the little things that matter. And that's why digital branding is so important, because, and this is just another thing that we say, but first impressions are everything, even when it comes to social media.
Absolutely.
You need to treat the people that come to your social media pages or engage with your content just as important as you would somebody walking into your place of business.
That is your online real estate.
Yes.
That is your business online.
And it could
not like the meta. We'll get to that later, but
we could do a whole podcast on that.
We'll get there, but yeah.
And it's just so important because, again, if you know your vision, you know your mission, you know what emotion you have behind your business, then you figure out your audience and who that person is that you're appealing to with that vision or that mission or that emotion. It's so important because then that's going to help you build your audience in a way that lets them be like ride or die hards for your business. And that's exactly what you want in today's society. Again, whether you are building a business or a personal brand or a digital brand, whatever it is, these are the things that are going to help and set you up for success when it comes to building your business or your personal brand. This is like it seems so simple, but it's a key factor that a lot of people are missing.
Oh, absolutely.
And it is definitely something that we are just so passionate about when it comes to having that digital experience. Like, I think one of the posts we just made the other day on Social Guru For You is we do we are revolutionizing the way that people experience with your brands online. And that's
Absolutely.
just something that we strive towards and we want to set the bar for. But having that digital experience and setting up your brand in a way simply through content creation and through your social media pages can give off either a good experience or a bad experience.
Right.
And obviously you want to go for the good.
Absolutely. And I think like the best way to moving through that is how do you, once you have identified who you are as a business and what you stand for, and you kind of have an idea of the audience that you want to go after, it really comes down, the next step is your content. And how you're going to display all of these things that you just figured out and that you know. How am I going to display that in a way through my content that is organic and is authentic and is going to showcase who I am to the right people and in the right places?
Yes. And that's why also being super niche in today's world is so important. Like it used to be back in the day, you kind of wanted to appeal to everybody as a business owner or
large net and see what you can get.
Yes, but it's not like that anymore. The more niche you are with your messaging, with your emotions, with who you're trying to attract, especially if you're building a personal brand online, those things are so important. And you want to make sure that you are speaking directly to that person, which goes into like when you're writing your captions, the way that you create your content, the way that you think about creating the content when you're in the creative process. Like all of these things can help you resonate, and the whole reason why is because it will get you that result you're looking for faster. Not to say you can't just put content together and it will attract whomever, but if you're trying to be super strategic, you're going to want to create your messaging and tailor that to somebody who is specifically looking for your product or your service. And again,
and just to play off that really quick, because I think it's important to note that it doesn't always have to be a 4K camera. It can be your iPhone and in a selfie mode, but it's important that your messaging and what you're doing in that video, whether you're even doing a funny video and you're a comedian and that's your bit, or you're trying to be serious and you're trying to inspire, that you know what you're doing and that you're following through with your core pillars and what you're standing for, and you know how to attract it, even if it is just a phone. And that's
I think
important.
it's the quality of what you're providing.
Right.
I think that's the most
the
important
value
thing
that you're bringing.
Yeah, and again, whoever your audience is, it could, for each individual or business, it could be so vastly different. But tailoring your message to that person and being your authentic self is going to get you those results that you're looking for faster. Again, you can still create content and put it out there, and something will come out of it. But if you want those results and you want to grow quickly, especially when it comes to social media and your digital brand, like that's going to help you be more successful faster.
Oh, absolutely.
For sure.
And so having a strategy is kind of what ties all of this together, because you kind of can't have your strategy and move forward if you don't have all of these things.
Right.
And it's extremely important to know how you're going to, once you have your audience and you know how you're going to get the content out and you know where you want to do, how are you going to engage with them? And then once you have them there and you have the attention, what are you going to do with it?
And I think, having a social strategy, setting up your profiles in a way that is going to speak to your audience. Like there's so many people out here in these days that create content, and this is why the content creation process is so important, but they'll create content that is more so telling people what you do versus showing people what you do. And that is something that we strive to do more so than not, is we always want to show what we do versus trying to do a super salesy social media post that's stale and nobody likes it. We do live in a very egotistical world, and I think a lot of businesses or people are looking to social media as a last-ditch effort to really help build their business or establish their business online. But there's a tasteful way to do things, and there's a distasteful way to do it. And if you are kind of just pointing the fingers at me, like, look what I do, nobody really cares. Or like in your bio, if you are saying, I'm a social media expert, I have this many awards, like if you're just giving off your own accolades, it's not really authentic, and it feels ewy, you know what I mean?
I get
Versus
what you're
like if you put in your or in your bio, building brands and building dreams. Like as a entrepreneur and as a younger generation person,
absolutely.
not youngest but younger, I do think that like getting away from that me vibe and having it be about your audience, it's going to help them
it's just going to land. It's just going to, it resonates a lot more than.
And it's authentic, you know what I mean? And it's also showing like we care about you versus we care about me kind of thing. And so if you go to your Instagram and you have these two profiles that are side by side, personally, I'm going to be attracted to the ones that say building brands and building dreams. Like I want to enroll in that. I want to know more about that. I want to watch content about that versus I'm just a social media expert and these are my awards kind of thing.
Right. It's kind of like, I get what you're saying, yeah.
And I think that that's just so important in today's world is that like going away from that like me culture and really focusing on your audience in a way. And again, it can be through verbiage. It can be through the content that you're creating. But having them at the forefront of your mind throughout your whole process when it comes to the digital experience or your digital brand is just so important.
Right. Absolutely. And I think too, so like content creation is a whole conversation. But what if what are some, maybe we can like talk about some quick ways because someone's like, I'm here now. I don't know what content to make. You know, I don't really know what direction to get kind of started in. And I think that ties into saying like look at your pillars, really dissect what those are and what you can drive pieces of content out of that.
Yeah, and I think it's more, again, show what you do and don't tell what you do. Like anybody, I mean, Canva is such a huge thing. When we first, we hopped on Canva when it was like within like 2 weeks, I swear, of it releasing back like 3.5 years ago, almost 4 years ago. But, in which, to the point of like, you can create any graphic, but a graphic doesn't necessarily give you the juice of enrolling with a brand. Like, you want to know who the brand is, what they are, what they stand for, and you want that feel-good energy. And that's what's so important with content creation is you have the opportunity to do the short format video. You have the opportunity to reach audiences in a very authentic way. Again, look at your brand, and again, this could be you or your business, and who are you to the core? Like literally write down adjectives that describe who you are if you were to personify your brand, and then turn that into content creation. And if you're not comfortable on camera, we completely understand. Yes. But it is something that if you can get past that, there's a lot on the other side of that fear. You can reach new audiences. You can reach them in a very authentic way. Again, what are you using social media for? Are you just using it for brand awareness? Well,
that's what's important too, is what are you using it for?
Yep. And a brand awareness it could be anything. It could be just, again, showing who you are as a brand, but a graphic doesn't do that, right? What does that is showing people what you do in a very authentic way, which is literally picking up your phone or your camera during a podcast and like filming that and showing people it.
Graphics to me are just informational almost.
Right. And
like
they're great.
They're not storytelling.
No.
It's nothing like that. It's
and there's no emotion. It could be salesy.
It can be very beautiful and pretty and put together, but it's mostly, generically speaking, just information.
Which, if you are a restaurant or a tech company, like an IT company, I mean, there's a lot that a graphic could provide you with to help you with gaining a customer or a sale or a lead.
Right.
But at the same time, taking that one step further, and if you are a local restaurant and you want to be different and you want to be unique, do some really cool stuff like what we do for Duffy's. You know what I mean? Like going in there and making some reels that now is like, we've kind of set the bar for that in the local community. And we have a lot of local businesses that are doing what we've been doing. So now we're like, okay, how can we be different? But doing like cocktail reels or short format content or the process of making the food or showing off your team. Like your team has their own personality
and different community posts too. It allows, it gives a moment of opportunity for you to show points of connection with your audience that you might not have in a different way that's not very in their face.
Right. And if you are a smaller business that's trying to build a brand, you want to be intertwined with the community, but both the local community as well as your online community too, which is just as important.
Especially if you're in a tourism area too. That's especially important. It's amazing to have that local camaraderie and to have that support. But it's like the people that are coming and the people that are traveling and all those things, they're online. The younger people are online. If we cannot find you, as simple as going on and looking on Google, you're done.
Which is so important and just goes to solidify how important your digital branding is. Right. Because if we are traveling or we are doing something.
Oh, yeah. That's a big one when you're traveling.
If people are coming in here, like first thing you do is you go look at their social media channels.
Oh, yeah.
Where do we want to go out to eat tonight? Like, let's go see what's cool in town. And again, this is also like a different side note, but your Google My Business, if you don't have your Google My Business set up and it's not, if your hours aren't right, if you don't have your website, if it doesn't have the information that it needs, you don't have any reviews, odds are you're missing out on a lot of business because of that. And there's some businesses in our local community that have, and we've experienced this recently.
It's a damn shame, you know? If you don't have your Google My Business updated, you need to hit pause and you need to go do it right now because that's how important it is.
And if you don't know what it is, please look it up because you have to have this in today's world. Especially, again, if you're going after, like, I don't want to say younger generation because it's just so popular right now.
Not even Google My Business. That's just like the more generic and hitting the older ones too. It's like that you have to have that. That's when you Google and someone comes up and you have the information and it has the hours and it has their
you could look at the menu. You could see pictures of the restaurant or whatever you're trying to go do. And then reviews are so important as well. But that doesn't really have anything to do with branding in general, but that's just a nugget for you if you are a business owner or you're an entrepreneur. But in terms
of making your content, when you have solidified your branding and you're going back to your content, utilizing reviews is a good way to display what your clients
without saying what you do.
Right, and letting your customers speak it for you.
And all that does, even with the Google My Business or just the content in general or your digital branding, how your page is set up, like the aesthetic of it, the things that you're putting out on there, it all boils down to trust. You're trying to...
And that's an emotion.
Yes, you are trying to get the trust of your potential customers, older customers. You want older customers to be repeat customers. You want to reach people in an authentic way that's going to get them to trust you as a brand, and they want more. You know what I mean?
Oh, right.
And that's the thing too is sometimes businesses have such good content that like even if you haven't purchased from them, you still want to follow them because they have such great content. And
then at some point that will convert.
Yes, and that's the cool thing too, and that's what's just awesome about social media is it takes on average 8 to 10 times. What you learn in marketing is that 8 to 10 times of exposures or impressions before somebody starts thinking about actually purchasing. And if you can do that in a super cool way through your content creation, it's game over. Because if you're doing that time and time again, people are just going to enroll and they're going to be lifetime customers and they're going to keep coming back and they trust you and they love you and whatever it is that you do next, especially if you're building a personal brand, which is so important because building a personal brand is almost different in a way of building a normal brick and mortar business because it is pretty much all online.
Right.
And you are really striving for that audience. So a lot of the stuff we're talking about right now is super applicable to strictly just building a personal brand online. And if you can build that audience, it is game over. You can write a book, you can drop any type of resource, you can do a merch line, and your audience loves you so much and trusts what you have to say. Or if you're an influencer, if you're an influencer, you technically have your personal brand. People are going to enroll with you so much, and they're going to trust whatever it is that you put out there. Right. Which, again, it just boils back to being super tailored to your specific audience and then building that emotion and that trust with them.
So be consistent, people. Yes. And be patient with yourselves because it will work out and you will be successful, but you have to have a strategy, you have to have a plan, and you can't just hope it sticks.
For sure, for sure. And then kind of just to wrap all those thoughts up, we really want to, if you don't know what platforms to be on, you should at least, and again, we all only have so much time and so much energy, but if you don't know what platforms to be on, you should really look at who your audience is, and like you said the other day, making sure that you are spending the time on those platforms.
Right. Where are they?
Right. If they're on TikTok, guess what?
You probably shouldn't. Yeah, you probably shouldn't be spending all your time on Instagram if all of them are on TikTok.
Right. And YouTube
or
is just
Snapchat or whatever it is.
Yep. Whatever. And this can be different for whatever kind of business you have.
Right.
Obviously, YouTube is a lot of longer format, but it's a really powerful way to build a personal brand. I would say it probably is one of the ways to build your personal brand.
It's very dominant.
Now there's YouTube Shorts, which are the short pieces of content that also accumulate with your monetization and your watch time. So YouTube is a super powerful tool. It does, take a lot more time and energy to build a YouTube channel, but that's a great one as well. But if you are selling a makeup line or something that's kind of generic that could be from generation like the older generation to the super young generation, you might want to spend some of your time on Facebook. And I know a lot of people are saying Facebook is dead. For us, Facebook is not dead. It is
I know. It bothers me when people say that, because I say the same people that are saying that are still on it all day long.
Right. And
it's like, is it now? Is it really?
We are going through that shift where, yes, like the older generations are spending their time more on Facebook.
I think that happens as platforms evolve and time goes on, and it kind of maneuvers between the different generations and kind of where people spend their time.
Yeah. And I think so Facebook, but it's a great way to sell a product or a commodity. It's a great way to sell a product, and it's a great way to get your
commodity.
A commodity. Thank you. I was gonna say camaraderie. I was like, no, that's not right. But or a commodity. Yeah. The Facebook Shops is integratable with the Instagram Shops. There's a lot of really powerful tools, but just knowing the platforms that your audience is spending their time on, which again goes back to your social media strategy. We will drop the PDF link to our personal social media strategy that we provide all of our clients with. We walk through with our clients. We created it. We would love to just give that to you guys as a resource, but that's just one of the most important things. If you are building a business in today's world, if you're building a brand, if you're building your personal brand, you should be following these steps in order to help you be successful. Right. Again, starting with your vision statement, your mission statement, slogans that make you who you are as a business, taking that one step further and doing those 4 branding steps and really solidifying who you are is going to help you then figure out who your audience is, the tone of your brand, and how you're going to speak to them through content creation. Right. And then being consistent and utilizing things such as your Instagram bio, being strategic
all the
with
tools
the ways
that everything is given to you.
That you can bring your brand to the digital realm. And then, again, just being consistent and utilizing that as much as possible. You want to enroll your audience. You want to have them in mind 24/7. You want to enroll and engage them with the emotion and build that trust. And that is what a brand is. And that's what digital branding is. Yeah. So that's kind of just what we wanted to talk to you guys about today. We just wanted to really bring some knowledge, kind of show you guys how passionate we are about this stuff. This is stuff that we eat, sleep, breathe. So
you should be passionate about this if it is your business, or you need to find someone in your business that is, because
or you need to outsource,
right? Or you need to reevaluate what you're doing, because if this isn't important to you, I wouldn't recommend operating forward.
No, you need, and it's just, you want to, these things can also help you become more passionate about the business or brand that you are creating or that you have created. But if you can figure out those things and the emotion of who you are, personify your brand, go through the identity process, go through those processes, and then really tailor and niche down on like your audience and leverage the power of social media and digital marketing and digital branding to help you reach those people in a really authentic way. And that's just kind of what we do on a day-to-day basis. And it's something that, again, we're just super passionate about. So we hope we brought you some valuable nuggets.
Absolutely. If you have any questions on your branding and maybe where to start or the content ideas or anything, just reach out. We're happy to help you, bring any value that we can.
Yeah, for sure. Don't be shy. Like if you drop a comment or DM us, we will 100% respond. Again, digital branding, digital customer service, very important to us. So we would love to speak with you, help you, give you some recommendations, and then we'll drop some resources in the description below. And if you... I know this is a little different vibe than what we have been doing, but this is kind of what our podcast is going to be. It's going to be encompassing...
Our podcast is us.
Yes, encompassing
all things. And what it takes
to
be a modern entrepreneur.
Yes, and social media and digital branding and building a brand is like so at the forefront of those things. Right. So that's all we got for you guys today.
Appreciate you guys as always. Thank you so much.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Yes, like and subscribe. Share on all platforms.
All right. We'll see you guys next time.
Thanks, you guys. Peace.
Bye.